Good morning, everybody, and welcome to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. This is Katie Weaver, and I am here with my partner in crime, Kristi Brower.
Hey, everybody.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I am well. I'm living the quarantine life and doing all right. Really grateful we're having good weather at this point.
Yeah.
At least I can go outside, and that is nice.
Yep, the sun has shone every day this week. We've had a little rain too, but mostly sunny skies and beautiful weather. Yeah, it makes a big difference, doesn't it?
It really does.
For sure. Well, we have been down the rabbit hole for the last few weeks on the Vallow case. And of course, this is the case of missing children. And we always want to make sure that we draw ourselves back to that. There's so many players in this that we've been evaluating, analyzing, but at the end of the day, this is about two missing kids.
Yeah.
And their names are Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow. And that's what matters here. But we have been going week by week and kind of going through each of the main players and their timelines and discussing them. So today we're talking about Alex Cox. But before we get too deep into that, I just want to recap a few things. And that is, this case is taking place in my hometown, well, both of our hometown, and the town I live in and the town that Kristi is not far from. And this is happening in Rexburg, Idaho. This is where these kids went missing from. This is an itty-bitty town of like 30,000 people, notwithstanding the university here. A crime like this, a situation like this here is so unheard of that it's really turned this town on its ear in a lot of ways. Kristi and I, we do True Crime Paranormal. We're both professional psychics. We have chosen to cover this case extensively, partly because it's happening in our backyard, and partly because we do have some interesting insight into it, because we are former Mormons. We were born and raised in the Mormon church, and Mormonism is at the crux of the beliefs of this case. And so unless you've been raised in this religion, there are some things that you probably don't quite get or grasp. And so that's one of the reasons that we felt like maybe we were uniquely qualified to offer a little analysis to this case.
Yeah. It's a really important part of it, because I think when you get right down to it, like we talked about last week, Chad's beliefs and the way that Lori has adopted them have everything to do with what's happened. It's related to the deaths in this situation. It's related to the missing children. It comes down to what they believe is coming and who they believe they are.
Yeah. Lori, of course, being the mother of these children, and Chad being their stepfather and their most recent stepfather. And so if we're leaving you in the dark on a few things, go back and watch the very first recording of this that we did was called Where Are the Children? And then we did Vallow Files Part 2, talking about Lori. Then we did, last week we talked all about Chad and Lori and Lori's beliefs. And that's a really important one.
Well, we did one on Joseph Ryan.
Oh, we did cover Joseph Ryan as well.
Lori's father.
Yeah, Tylee's father, Lori's third husband. So if we're leaving you in the dark, listen to those. It's going to take you all day. Sorry, but it is what it is. We didn't make this timeline.
We talked about the timeline wraps around all the way around both of our houses to try to keep track of it and all the people. So we knew this had to be a multi-episode feature. And it will be ongoing because the kids are still missing. Mom's still in jail.
Yeah.
There's, we're a long ways from a resolution, I think.
Absolutely. So today we're going to dip our toe into the waters of Alex Cox. Alex Cox is, I know, gross.
I think it's a slimy pond, man.
Yeah, we're going to need some sunshine when this is over. So Alex is Lori's brother, the uncle to these missing kids. And by all purposes seems to have been Lori's right-hand man in a lot of ways. The more we get into this, I think the more that we can help you to see or I guess maybe support the belief that we both share that Lori and Alex seem to have an uncommon relationship, maybe even an inappropriate relationship. There is some degree of Alex seeming to take Lori's word as well, as they say, as gospel,
Oh, yeah.
and being absolutely willing to do anything she wanted him to do.
Yeah.
Some people believe that's because she was perhaps blackmailing him a bit as well. Other people believe it was because of his absolute Lori worship. You guys can decide, but
or
we'll
was
throw
it
all out
an
there.
incestuous relationship? That's just my theory, but
Yeah.
there's just something strange about a relationship, a sibling relationship in which someone is willing to do anything for their sibling to the point of murder.
Of murder. Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to back up to Joseph Ryan for just a moment. We've talked about this already, but now we're talking about Alex. So we're going back.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph Ryan was Lori's third husband, and Joseph was assaulted by Alex. Now, Lori and Joseph had a really bitter custody dispute over Tylee that went on for years and years and years and years. And Alex was involved in that. In 2007, on August 5th, Alex was arrested in Austin, Texas for aggravated assault because he stun gunned, or is that the right word? Tased? I think that's the same thing.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, Joseph Ryan. And threatened to kill him. He ended up, apparently Ryan had just finished a supervised visit with his 4-year-old daughter, Tylee, at the time, and he had suffered injuries. He sprained his wrist in the fall. Alex Cox did 90 days in jail. While he was in jail, he sent a letter to a friend asking her to send him Joseph Ryan's picture, address, and license plate in jail, stating it would be popular in here and some of these guys would like to hang out with him. So while he was in jail, he was trying to drum up some aggression against Joseph Ryan. Mm-hmm. Seems that he didn't learn a whole lot. Later on, there is a comedy clip. We're not going to share it here because honestly, we were pretty grossed out by it. Yeah. And really just don't even need that fool to have any more attention than he deserves. But if you want to go find it, it is kind of interesting. He talks a little bit about how his brother-in-law was a pedophile, which there's absolutely no proof of that whatsoever.
Never accused in any way other than by this guy, never accused by his child or even by the child's mother in any public way.
No, but says that he was a pedophile, says that he used a stun gun and hit him in the nuts with it, and bragging about it and joking about his time in jail. It's pretty, it's gross. It's typical of this guy, I'm afraid. But anyway, so if you guys want to go find that, you're more than welcome to. But that's a time, interestingly, kind of hauntingly, where he actually spoke about it publicly.
Yeah.
And then moving forward, so 10 years later, and our understanding is that Alex was a truck driver. I don't have written proof of that, but that's what I'm hearing from others, is that was his vocation, is that he was a truck driver. Just to put that out there. Now, Lori's third husband, Joseph Ryan, was found dead in his apartment in Gilbert, Arizona, of an apparent heart attack. Now, there is two different stories out in the etherwebs here about it. One is that he laid in his apartment dead for 3 weeks before he was found. Other reports are saying that he was in his apartment dead for at least 1 week before he was found. Apparently, a neighbor's dog smelled something and wouldn't leave his apartment alone until they called the police and discovered that there was a dead body inside. The autopsy lists his heart attack, of course, or his death as a heart attack, and he was cremated. But moving into earlier this year in 2020, there was a report that either the FBI or the Gilbert Police Department have reopened that case, and they are investigating Alex Cox in the death of Joseph Ryan.
Yep. It's another one of those, he just fell over of a heart attack kinds of stories that keep happening in this case. And it's questionable. It was also an unattended death. And that's why I really question what's going on with the Gilbert Police Department here, because
over and over again.
Why was this unattended death why was there not more investigation? We're not talking about an 85-year-old man, This is a middle-aged man.
Yeah.
And there really was no question. They just, well, this is how he died. Well,
Yeah.
I think now they're probably regretting that and looking back on, is it really?
Hmm.
And considering, that someone had threatened his life and assaulted him, and,
Yeah.
the history, the family history here, and
Hmm.
he's an unattended death. Why would you not be looking into that?
Absolutely.
You
Now,
know, and
luckily there was an autopsy performed before
mhm.
he was cremated, and so there is, an ongoing investigation, which is interesting. But yeah, there seems to be several balls dropped here.
Right. I mean, how far, what was it, a cursory autopsy? What kind of autopsy was it?
Yeah,
You
true.
know,
Yeah.
because heart attack and heart failure are two causes of death that are just sort of well, they're dead, their heart stopped. So
Okay. She
must be
did. Yeah.
this,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so that I always feel like that's a concern when there wasn't,
Hmm.
a medical doctor involved, there wasn't anybody witnessing it,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
here's a news flash: every time someone dies, their heart stops. That doesn't mean
Right.
that's what caused their death. So I don't know. I have
Absolutely.
questions. So I'm very glad that they're looking into that further.
Me too, and very curious to see where that goes.
Yeah.
So now we're going to move forward again to 2019. Early 2019, Lori Vallow disappeared from her family, just took off for 58 days. And for part of that time, it is believed that she was staying with Alex Cox. Part of that time, it looks like she was in Hawaii. And part of that time, it looks like she was perhaps in Idaho at a Preparing a People event in Boise.
Mhm.
Part of that time, at least, though, she was with Alex. In mid-February 2019, there was a report that neighbors reported that Lori and Alex had a knockdown, drag-out fight in the middle of the street in front of Alex's house. The fight between them was so bad that neighbors were considering calling the police. They told the Daily Mail that she was screaming at him and accusing him of bringing shame to their family or disgrace on their family. After it was over, she left the house and didn't come back. That looks like it may have been when she finally showed back up at to her residence with her family that she had slipped away from. So at any rate, pretty interesting stuff.
Mhm.
Her car was at his house for an extended period, though, and there were many attempts there to serve her with some of the papers that Charles Vallow had filed, including a restraining order. And
Mhm.
there were orders there for her to have a psychological evaluation. She was never served because they could never find her,
Yeah.
being sheltered, obviously, there by her brother. So that happened. Now, moving forward to one of the most notable events here, and that is on the 11th of July. This is when Charles Vallow was shot and killed by Alex Cox.
Mhm.
Charles Vallow, of course, Lori Vallow's fourth husband and the father of JJ, the younger missing child.
Mhm.
So the shooting occurred around 8:30 a.m. Cox did claim self-defense. He claimed that Charles Vallow hit him in the head with a bat. We're going to hit the pause button on ourselves right now because I'm going to play for you the 911 call. It's
Yeah.
about 7 minutes long. It is well worth the listen. So we're going to
Mhm.
step away for just a moment here so you guys can listen to the 911 call, and then we'll be back to analyze that.
911, where is your emergency?
It's at 5531 South Four Peaks. I think it's Four Peaks Lane, I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, you say you don't know the direction?
I don't know the street name, if it's a lane or court.
It's 5531 East, though?
Yeah, or South
South.
Four Peaks.
5531 South Four Peaks in Chandler. Is that right?
Yes.
You need
Yes.
police or paramedics?
Both. I'm in police and an ambulance.
What's the emergency there?
I got in a fight with my brother-in-law and I shot him in self-defense.
Okay, let me get the medics on the phone. And is he hurt or is he alive or?
Yeah, there's blood. He's not moving.
How long ago did this happen?
A couple of minutes.
Fire department, what is the address of the emergency?
5531 South Four Peaks.
And is that a house in Chandler?
Yes.
And your phone number, please?
480-351-9120.
And just repeat the address to confirm it.
5531 South Four Peaks.
And what is the emergency?
I shot my brother-in-law.
Okay, what part of his body is injured?
In the chest.
I'm sorry, where?
In the chest.
Okay, is he awake and responsive or unconscious?
Unconscious.
Okay, is he breathing?
I can't tell.
Okay, are you willing to go over to him and check?
Sure.
Okay, do you just let me know if you see his chest going up and down? How old is he?
It's not moving. He's 60.
Okay, and are you wanting to start CPR?
No, I don't know how to do that.
I can walk you through it.
Okay.
And what I want you to do is you're going to put one hand in the center of his chest.
Yeah.
The other hand's going to go right on top of it.
Okay.
You're going to interlock your fingers, keeping your arms straight, and you're going to press down hard and fast into his chest. You're going to go 2 inches down and fairly quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Making sure his chest goes up between each compression. Where's the gun now?
It's in the other room.
Okay. PD, we're going to stage for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, just keep going with those compressions. PD, did you have any other questions?
Yes, what's your name, sir?
My name is Alex. Last name is Cox, C-O-X.
And where are you in the house now?
In the living room.
And where is the gun?
It's in the bedroom.
Who else is there in the house with you?
Just me.
What gun is it? Was it a
It's my gun. It's a 45.
pistol? 45 caliber pistol?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's his name, your brother-in-law?
Charles Vallow.
His last name, I'm sorry?
V-A-L-L-O. Vallow.
V like Victor or G like George?
V like Victor.
Okay. Well, police and medics are on the way to help you.
Thank you.
Are you still doing, chest compressions with him?
Yes.
Okay, just keep pushing down hard and fast in the center of his chest. How long ago did this occur? Did it just happen?
Yeah, maybe 5 minutes before I called.
Okay. Just make sure you're still pressing down at least 2 inches into his chest, and it comes up with each compression. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, were you guys arguing when this happened?
Yeah.
Okay. And you said there's nobody else there, just you and him, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Could you just let us know when it's secure?
Certainly, we'll do that.
Thank you.
And was he armed also, or just you, or what happened there?
Yeah, he came at me with a bat.
Anyone been drinking or doing drugs or anything today, or no?
I don't know, but I've never seen him that enraged before.
Does he live there with you, or where does he live?
No, he lives in Houston.
He's what, married to your sister? Is she? Where is she?
Correct. Is it, no, I think she's taking her son to school.
Okay. Questions? You still doing that? Is see anything? Any response from him? You know?
He's not responding at all.
Some officers should be there. Let me know when they get inside to you. Is the front door open?
Yeah. It's unlocked.
Okay. Can you come out, walk outside with your hands empty?
Sure.
Are you able to do that with your hands
Sure.
up and empty?
Yep. Yep.
Your front door, right?
Yep. No weapons on me. Yep. 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 No one else is in the house.
Have a seat right there.
Yep.
Get that seat in here.
Yeah.
Have a seat.
Yeah.
Get some ID on you, sir. You came at me with a bat?
Okay, so there you have it, right out of his mouth.
Having lots of thoughts and lots of feels after that.
Yeah, holy. I mean, it is graphic, you know, the whole thing is graphic. There's also a body cam. There's body cam footage from the police officer. We're not going to show that here, but I highly recommend that you guys go and find it and watch it if you have the stomach for it.
Yeah, if you have the
it's
stomach
a lot.
for it, it's very graphic. It shows the body, it shows blood. It's, you know, if those things are you're sensitive, don't watch them. But
But let's talk about the 911 call. First
Oh
of
my
all,
gosh.
thoughts and feelings. What have you got?
Well, first of all, if I had just shot someone in self-defense because I thought they were going to kill me, I think I might have a little more emotion than this dude did. He was so calm and nonchalant about the whole thing. That was so weird. And you could tell it was weird in the 911 operator and the fire department operator that he spoke to. You could sort of hear in their voices. They were like, well, when did this happen? Well, what happened? Why did you shoot him? And you could tell they were like, Jesus, this guy is not upset at all. Don't you think if you just shot and killed someone in your family, that you might be a little upset?
Yeah. Freaked out? Something?
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Well, and
the point that she said, when did this happen? And he was like, oh, I don't know, like 5 minutes before I called.
Yeah. And he told,
I don't know.
and he said 2 minutes before he called to the 911 operator and 5 minutes to the fire department operator. And I thought, you know what? It's been a lot longer than that for both.
Yeah. Yeah. But CPR.
He didn't do CPR. Have you ever, okay, I've never done CPR on a person, but I have had to take CPR training many times. And you're down there on the floor on your knees and you're pumping and you're pumping and you're pumping. And you know what you do? You start getting out of breath.
Yeah.
There is no way that guy did a couple of times he went,
yeah,
and then he
kind of
waited like 10 seconds and then he did it again. He was faking it the whole time. If you've ever even done a class, you know that idiot didn't do CPR. But I'll tell you why I didn't do CPR. I fully believe, and this is just me, my psychic self, he waited until he was damn sure he was dead before he called 911.
Absolutely.
He knew. I don't know. I can't tell if he's breathing. Oh, bullshit. You know,
right.
He waited until he was sure he wasn't.
Yeah. But also in the body cam footage, Charles was on his face.
Yeah.
So
you can't do CPR on somebody when they're laying on their face.
No. And so he would have had to have turned him over to perform CPR, which he clearly did not do.
That give the police a red flag. Why? When they go and they see that he has not attempted any life-saving anything and said that he did.
Yeah.
Why didn't that give them a clue that maybe this wasn't just a cut and dried self-defense situation?
Yeah.
Like that would have instantly set that off in my head. Like, wait a minute, he couldn't have done CPR.
Yeah.
Like if you were really just trying to defend yourself and not intentionally murdering someone, you would think that you would try to save their life.
Yeah. Yeah, one would think.
One would think.
Yeah.
A couple of
but-
other things I thought were weird that he was just kind of trying to be obstinate is that he couldn't remember the exact address. Is it lane or road or whatever? Bullshit. He knew.
Right.
He
of
absolutely
course.
knew. And then he spelled Charles' last name wrong. He said Vallo.
Yeah.
He's standing in this man's house, number one. Number two, that's his sister's last name because she's married to him and he doesn't know how to spell his name.
Yeah.
What was that? That was
Yeah.
just, please.
More redirects. Yeah.
Yeah, just
more redirects.
like, I don't know if he said stuff like that to try to sound like he was stressed because he did not sound stressed at all.
No, he
Nothing
didn't.
in that indicated to me that he was sorry he had done what he'd done or he was upset or he was scared. Don't you think you might be scared you were about to go to prison for murdering someone?
Right. Well, at the very beginning, I shot my brother-in-law. It was self-defense. The way he said that, it was self-defense.
What the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it, guys. It was self-defense.
No
Oh,
big
yeah,
deal. It
there's
was
a dead guy
self-defense.
here, but
Yeah. Oh, is he
Yeah.
still breathing? I don't know. I haven't really looked. What?
Mhm.
Yeah. But yeah, that
Yeah.
was cut and dried self-defense. Police? Sure.
Yep.
No,
There you
it
go.
wasn't. Oh my God.
silver platter. Yeah.
Just so strange. The
Mhm.
emotional reaction, the
Or
lack
lack
of
of,
emotional
yeah.
reaction, just no way.
Really, really strange. And I thought that listening, and I listened through the 911 call a few times, I was chilled to the bone by it, honestly. This person had such a lack of conscience,
Yeah.
you know,
Nothing.
obvious. This seemed to be, to me at least, such a planned situation. One thing that always has stuck out to me is that he says that Charles hit him in the head with a bat.
Oh,
That
yes.
injury was never treated. It was never addressed. Charles played high school, college, and semi-pro baseball in his younger years.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever been hit with a bat?
Yeah.
I have, on accident, in coaching kids before,
Mhm.
and it hurts like hell, and I'm talking about kids.
Yeah.
Charles was a big man
Yeah.
and had, semi-pro baseball skills. If he had truly and purposefully hit Alex in the head with a bat, he would have been the one making the 911 call.
Right.
That
Absolutely.
made no sense to me at all.
No.
None at all.
Mm-mm.
And the fact that there was really no follow-up on Alex's injury, just,
So weird.
again,
It was
made
just
me
like they
go,
so
"We're
easily
still
accepted this
calling
story.
this?" Right. And that no one, including Charles Vallow's ex-wives, his adult children, his adult stepchild, none of them could corroborate that there'd ever been violence in
Right.
Charles, that there'd
Right.
ever been violence. Was there an altercation? There was an argument, I think. Was it absolutely provoked by Alex and Lori? I believe it was.
Mhm. Planned down to the
Mhm.
Alex having a gun on him. Yes.
Yeah. And interestingly, you can also, in the body cam footage, and then there's other footage of Lori and Tylee's interviews with the police. As of a certain date, there actually hadn't been a released. This was as of February. Alex's statements had not been released. I still don't think they have been. I have not seen them.
No,
But-
they're back to investigating this now.
Yeah, they're back to
because
investigating.
They screwed up.
hmm But Lori and Tylee's stories are very strange. Tylee's is so rehearsed and odd,
Oh, it is.
but it doesn't match her mother's. I would be so
Well,
curious
Lori
to see
just
what Alex is
smiles
saying.
and flips her blonde hair the whole time.
Oh,
It's just
yeah.
sickening.
Yep. And then, of course, later that afternoon, they actually throw a big pool party at that house.
Yeah.
And neighbors report that there were a lot of people there.
So bizarre.
So-
Well, the other bizarre part
bizarre.
of this is that when they ask Alex, is there anyone else in the house? No, my sister, I think she took her son to school or something.
Or something. Yeah.
Or something.
I don't know.
What?
Yeah.
I'm not
here
sure where
alone.
she is. I'm not sure where
Mhm.
she is. I think she took her son to school.
Yeah.
You just murdered her husband, dude. And she just
Yeah.
got in the car and took her kid to school. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just I mean, I'm sorry, but I think Barney Fife should have been able to see through this if you are old enough to know who the hell I'm talking about. let alone, I don't know. I've got questions about the Chandler police, but I also
Spoiler
have
alert,
questions
he's
about
not a
some of
big
the other
purple
police in
dinosaur.
this situation. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no, he is not. But it just
Yes.
it blows me away. Like this story it's so bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
Like, was
Now,
this
the
just
Chandler
the easiest
police-
thing to accept at the time? That then it was easy.
Mm-hmm. Did they just have bigger fish to fry than a domestic dispute, and they just let it go? Unfortunately, it just seems like clear back to, the divorce and custody case with Joseph Ryan. Up to this point, it seems like so many balls have been dropped, and had they not been, maybe we wouldn't have 2 missing kids on our hands at this point.
Right. And I know that a lot of the police are these things are being investigated now and they're looking into it now, but I agree.
Yeah.
Why did all of this fly under the radar for so long?
Yeah. Multiple states, I'm sure, is a part of it.
Multiple jurisdictions. That's for sure.
And this cute little white blonde lady that just seems to find a way to sweet talk herself out of everything.
Makes me wanna
Is a part
throw
of it. Yeah. Her manipulation skills are off the charts.
Well, yes, but also the ability for people in authority to fall for it also makes me want to vomit. That is so aggravating to me that she, has basically used her privilege to get away with all this shit till now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so here we are, finally she is in jail. There are charges. There are lots more charges that seem to be coming. But we'll get back to Alex for now, and we'll continue on this track, I'm sure, lots of times.
Yeah.
All right. So there were never any charges filed. We go through Charles's, whatever, charge. There, all of the things that happened with Charles that we already had reported that, so we won't keep going here, but we'll keep going on. Yeah, later in that day on the 11th, that is when the neighbors report they host a pool party and lots of people and loud music. Very interesting. So move
They
forward.
must have had to really hurry to clean up the blood before they could host that party.
Yeah. Now move forward to the 28th of August in Rexburg, Idaho. The townhome that Alex Cox was purchasing was taken off the market. It's believed then that was when he purchased it. So eventually, Lori and Alex and Melanie Boudreau all purchased or rented townhomes in the same complex in Rexburg. They were all neighbors for a short time.
Just a mile or two from you.
Yes. Yep. Not very far from me at all. And so that was on the 28th of August that his apartment came off of the market, interestingly, or townhome. They were actually townhomes. But, and just a note, on the 2nd of December is when that apartment was listed for rent, or that townhome. I'm seeing it listed as apartment. They're actually townhomes. I guess it doesn't matter. Yeah. But anyway, it was listed for rent on the 2nd of December. Looks like the rent was reduced on the 3rd of January, shortly after the case went public, and it was sold on the 10th of February. So it did sit empty for a while. So why did Alex move to Rexburg? Well, I mean, to be closer to Lori is the only, great explanation, except for that I do feel like they were trying to get out of Arizona. They got away with something. And I do feel like they were trying to get out of Arizona, and Lori was coming here because she was following Chad. So, of course, her other little followers came too.
Yes.
This also goes along, though, with the beliefs that they were gathering. She was a god or goddess that was in charge of gathering the 144,000 together to be prepared for Christ's second coming in July 2020. Those are a part of Lori's belief system. Apparently, they needed to be here in Idaho to do so. So those are just some dates that are of interest. And so at some point there, after the end of August, Alex did move here to Rexburg and live in a townhome here. On the 8th of September, 2019, that is the last day that Tylee Ryan is seen alive. There are pictures of her and her mother and Alex and JJ in Yellowstone Park. And of course, that's the last time anyone ever saw Tylee. Now, obviously, we know that it was that JJ came home and was seen a few more times before he officially disappeared. But That was the last time that Tylee Ryan was seen, and she was with Alex on that day.
Yeah.
Now, we'll jump forward by almost a month. Brandon Boudreau. Brandon Boudreau is the nephew by marriage of Alex Cox. He was married to Melanie Boudreau, who is Alex's niece. Now, there's a piece of this story that's kind of missing. I wish I had better information. Maybe we'll come up with it later. I have hunted and hunted. I've read things before, but I don't have it all together. Hopefully we will. But there is a sister to Alex and Lori. There's a brother, too, named Adam, who's really tried hard to stay the hell out of this for obvious reasons. But Alex and Lori had a sister. That sister died quite a few years ago, supposedly, or according to reports, by complications of type 1 diabetes. That is Melanie Boudreau's mother. There have been some scuttlebutt that when she died, that Alex ended up in trouble because he was using her credit cards at the point of and after her death was using her credit cards. So, again, I don't have proof of that at this time. I will continue to try to gather that. But that's one of the things that has been said that, maybe another peek into the character of Alex. I'm not saying that Alex killed his sister. I'm not making any, assertion. I don't know that. I do know, though, that there's yet another death around them and maybe mismanagement and mishandling of it. Yeah. But so that's how Melanie Boudreau ties into the story. She was the niece of Lori and Alex and appears to be, especially if you read the transcripts of her new husband, Ian Pulowski, was a very devout follower of Lori and Alex. Not even Alex, of Lori and her belief system, and Chad.
Yeah. And Chad.
So back in Arizona on the 2nd of October, Brandon Boudreau, this is the soon-to-be ex-wife, or ex-husband, of Melanie, was shot outside of his home in Gilbert, Arizona, around 9:30 a.m. The shooter was driving what has been now identified as Tylee Ryan's 2018 Jeep Wrangler. It was owned by Charles, who then I guess was owned by Lori. It's registered in Charles Vallow's name. It had Texas plates. And Boudreau and his private investigator did identify Alex Cox as the shooter. He did not kill him. He missed him by inches, shot out the window of his Tesla, and he managed to get himself and his children to safety because at that point it occurred to him or appeared to him that perhaps he wasn't safe after being shot at and after seeing what happened to Charles. He managed to become safe, get him and his children safe. And, I think that had he not taken some steps to assure their safety, it really makes me wonder.
Yeah. If he was next on the list.
Well, he was, obviously.
This isn't the only failed attempt on one of the people in this situation who did die, because it was a failed attempt on Tammy Daybell as well.
Yes, there's a failed attempt on Tammy Daybell. Now, there's some interesting information about that. At this time, about a storage unit that Lori had acquired in Rexburg. And the tapes from the security tapes from the storage unit show on one day, Chad and Lori coming into the storage unit, working together to carry in what looks like a spare tire and the seat out of a Jeep, or presumably so. And that was the day, or I believe the day before, Brandon Boudreau was shot at. The day after Brandon was shot at, there is footage of Lori and Alex coming back to get it, taking the seat and the tire out of the storage unit, putting it presumably back in the Jeep.
Yeah.
So who was driving the Jeep? Because it seems as though, and this is what Brandon Boudreau and his attorneys are saying, is that Alex was in the back of the Jeep shooting out the back window. So who was driving the Jeep?
Yeah.
It wasn't Lori, because she was on her, she was shown, in footage in Rexburg. It doesn't appear to be Chad. He was also in Rexburg. So that is always of interest to me, that somebody was driving that Jeep.
There have been allegations that it was Tylee that was driving that Jeep.
Yes, but this was in October.
I know. So we don't know. No one knows. But that is one.
Yeah.
That is one of the stories out there.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't line up with her. No one seeing her. But that was one.
Now, obviously, we know that Alex has been to jail. He's been into trouble. It's not a stretch for me to think that Alex has friends in low places.
Right,
But
for sure.
maybe it wasn't that big of a stretch to think that he had somebody that would drive the Jeep, no problemo, or that it was someone else involved in this case. Could it have been Melanie? She says no. She claims that she has no idea it happened, but somebody does. So that's all. Those are points of interest at any rate. A little right around that time as well, Melanie Boudreau showed up in Utah at her in-laws' house trying to get her children back. She claimed that she had legal papers giving her the rights to take them. The police disagreed with that. They arrested her and took her to jail, where guess who comes and bails her out? Uncle Alex.
Yeah.
So, boy was getting around. I have lots of questions right now about that, because where was the money coming from? I mean, between the three of them, they either or purchased 3 townhomes or rented them. They were all moving to Rexburg. It doesn't appear that any of them were working.
No.
And Alex was all over the place.
Yeah.
Where was the money coming from?
Yeah. I think that's a big question that has not been answered yet in this case, because there seems to be a lot of money that seems to have no source.
Yeah.
Because we know Lori didn't have it because she didn't get Charles' life insurance.
Right. Now, then we have, of course, the death of Tammy Daybell. Well, back up. On October 9th, Tammy Daybell files a report with the Rexburg Police Department claiming to be shot at by a masked man carrying a paintball gun in her front yard.
Yeah.
They have later determined that that was not a paintball gun. That was a rifle with a silencer on it, or a gun of some sort with a silencer on it.
Yeah.
A lot of authorities now are there's a belief now that that was the same gun that was used to shoot at Brandon Boudreau. There's a big belief now, and they are investigating Alex's connection to the death of Tammy Daybell. So that's the big question. Was that Alex? Was he trying to kill Tammy in her front yard?
Well, they found that gun in Charles' house. That was one of the things, or Chad's house, sorry. Yes, in Chad's house, when they did, when they went in and searched Charles' house, they found that gun. That's why they know what it is.
Yep. So, who was running around with that gun? It was a masked man at dusk shooting at her in her driveway.
Yeah, dressed all in black, head to toe. She wouldn't know him, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Maybe she would. I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's been some affiliation here.
I'm guessing
between
probably
those two families,
not. But so my psychic sense on that is that, that was yet another failed attempt. I do believe that absolutely was Alex, and that was the plan right there, to shoot her where she stood in her driveway.
Gun jammed.
Gun jammed. I'm going to say right now that I believe that it's my personal belief, spidey senses here, that Alex was a bit low IQ. I don't think he was very smart. I feel like he made a lot of mistakes. I feel like he was just, following the marching orders of his sister. Didn't think for himself much at all.
Very impulsive also. Just very impulsive.
Yeah, and easy to manipulate. Doesn't seem like Lori had a hard time getting him to do what she wanted him to do.
No, not at all. He seemed to be willing to do whatever she wanted.
I do also, and again, this is entirely my own sense, and so don't ask for proof. I don't have it. I suspect that Alex had some of his own vices. I suspect that he had sex addiction. I suspect that he had some issues with not with alcohol, not with drugs, sorry, but maybe with alcohol. I mean, these were Mormons, but I don't think that he was nearly as devout in the sense of, marching by the beat of the Mormon drum so much as his sister did.
It
he
didn't
doesn't
seem
strike
to
me
be
that
in
way.
other areas of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And in watching his stand-up comedy, it didn't
Mhm.
seem to be.
Mm-hmm. But he reeks to me of someone who has some issues with sex addiction and, maybe more.
Yeah. I'm gonna validate that. Very
Yeah.
familiar with the energy of a problem like that, and it definitely does feel that way to me as well.
Mm-hmm. When I was looking into the fight between the two of them, and what could she have been so mad about, and what was Alex doing that she said was bringing shame to their family? Yeah. And I really felt like this had to do with his behavior around sex and sex addiction.
Yeah.
Something that she wasn't in control of, that Lori wasn't in control of.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And that's what it really came down to, is that she was very angry with him for doing something that she had told him not to do.
Yep. Now, on the 5th of November, 2019, the police show up to do a welfare check on the kids. And they run into Alex and Chad out front while they're trying to find Lori's townhome, right?
Yeah.
And two things happened. Chad acted as if he didn't know Lori very well and didn't know her phone number, which was pretty odd considering they were married.
Yes.
But, that was his first misdirect of the police. Alex told the police that JJ was with his grandmother, Kay Woodcock, in Louisiana, which was a strange thing to say considering that it was Grandma Kay in Louisiana who had called for the welfare check.
Exactly.
But they both had lied to the police to their faces and tried to misdirect at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Always covering for Lori, always.
Oh, yeah.
Now, on the 27th of November, Alex moves back to Arizona. That's when he vacated that townhome. On the 29th of Arizona, Alex gets married. He marries a woman named Zulina Pastinas in Las Vegas. Same weekend that Melanie Boudreau marries Ian Pulowski. The four of them go. Interesting. According to the owner, they got married. Okay, they got married at a chapel of love in Vegas. The minister spoke about it later, saying there was a lack of emotional response and that they were very cold. It was all business. They wanted to get in and out. The service lasted for 8 minutes, and the only witness was the chapel security guard.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Alex takes Zulima's last name. Is this another attempt to just escape the public eye? Is this another attempt to close themselves off a little from the police that might be closing in? You can make your own decision about that.
Right.
So Melanie and Ian immediately leave Vegas and head back to Rexburg. Melanie claims that Zulima and Alex stayed in Las Vegas for 2 extra days to prepare earthquakes to strike in Utah.
Yeah.
They had a belief there that they needed to shake up the Mormon church and get their attention. And to do so, they were going to create earthquakes that would strike Utah to shake up Salt Lake. Now, really interestingly, this spring, Salt Lake area, Salt Lake Valley in Utah, has had a bunch of earthquakes and some that did damage to some of the Mormon buildings there, the temple and some things. So
the temple Moroni
really
dropped his trumpet off the Salt Lake temple. Weird. Didn't happen in November like they were trying to plan, but it did in fact happen.
Yeah. Did they cause them? I'm not saying they did.
Probably not, because it's the Wasatch Fault Line, but still.
But they don't usually get earthquakes like that there. So that's kind of a weird note. But again, this kind of tracks their belief system. But they were preparing earthquakes. That's what Melanie Pulowski said.
Yeah, I'd be really curious
it's what
to know
Ian Pulowski said.
How they were preparing them. I have not heard that, and I would like to know. How were they?
I know. Just from like a metaphysical standpoint, I've been examining that.
What did they think they were doing?
Right. Was that a disruption in the ley lines? Were they actually like trying to attack the Wasatch Front, like from an energetic place. Sorry, you guys, going way off of the case here for a minute, but from an energetic place, what does that look like? What does that mean? Interesting.
And why would you do it?
Why would you do it? Right. Because yet again, if you are someone who believes that you can create an earthquake, which, I know a lot of people in a lot of different metaphysical worlds, and I believe that some people probably actually do believe that they can, and maybe some that can. I don't think that's completely far-flung, that they could create some kind of movement in the earth with enough intention or work. And, call me crazy, some of you will, but I've seen a lot of things, so,
Right.
But to me, if I believed that I could create a massive earthquake, that would, and believed that I wanted to create a massive earthquake, the result of that would mean that I didn't care about lives lost.
Yeah.
Right? Yet again, you would have to think that this goes back to all of the beliefs that these two have been, or that these guys have, that their means to an end are justified, that God said so they'll do what they are told.
Yeah.
If you thought that you could create a natural disaster and you were more than willing to do so, you wouldn't care at all about the fact that people could die, that you could create a terrible thing. I mean, that's scary to think.
Cold you are. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, at this point, he's already at least killed one person, maybe two. Yeah. So, I mean, is it that far-fetched to think that he would do something like that, or think that he could do something like that? Probably not.
Right. Right. So now, fast forward, these two have been married since the 29th of November. On the 12th of December, so just 2 weeks later, Alex Cox dies. He dies of suspicious causes in Gilbert, Arizona. Zulima's 25-year-old son, Joseph Lopez, finds him unresponsive on the bathroom floor in his own feces and is unable to turn him over or administer CPR because he has lost control of his bowels. He is apparently convulsing and foaming at the mouth. He refers to Cox in the 911 call as his mother's boyfriend and doesn't know his last name. So I thought that was an interesting piece. This man is 25. He's not a kid. All he knows Alex as is his mom's boyfriend. Doesn't refer to him as her husband, which makes you wonder if he knows, but he's her husband. Doesn't know his last name. Very interesting. At any rate, he dies. Their family has been telling people that he died from an asthma attack. And yet, obviously, there's something stinks here, and it's not just Alex. So,
cause of death has not been determined. Well, or it has not been released publicly, I would say. Maybe it has been determined, but it's under investigation.
And it was ruled as a suspicious death. Yeah. So there is toxicology involved in that. There is an autopsy ongoing. So that's what we know. Moving forward this year, of course, there have been, sometimes there was a Justin Lum had reported that he had received some confidential info from the Gilbert Police Department that they were now investigating Alex for Charles's death. They also, the local police here are investigating Alex for Tammy's death. There was a leak that, anyway, and this was reported by Arizona Family. They reported that sources close to the missing Idaho children told CBS News that Alex Cox may be linked to Tammy Daybell's death. He died before he could be questioned, but that there is an electronic paper trail that they are following. So there's something interesting there. So I guess we go back. I mean, do we want to talk about that death? Some people believe that he killed himself. Some people believe that he was killed by somebody else. So what the hell happened? And also, why did he and Zulima get married? Actually, let me tell you guys a little bit about Zulima, and then we'll get into that. So Zulima is LDS. She is, pardon me, she's a self-professed emotion code practitioner. Some of you guys know what that is. It's a pretty common energy work type modality.
Mhm.
She lists cuddling as one of her services in her profile, interestingly.
Okay.
Yep. She, of course, did marry Alex. That's about all we know about Zulema. She's been really, really quiet. I suspect
Well,
that
she's involved, though, in that same group.
yes. Oh, yeah. She's involved in that same group. I think that we probably need to know a little bit more, about this moving forward. I think that more information about Zulema will come out. She's done a good job of staying below the radar for pretty obvious reasons. So a few questions I have that I would like for us to analyze. The first of all is, why did Zulema and Alex get married?
Okay, so here's what I have on this. At the time prior to this happening, Lori's big job was gathering people in for the 144,000. And I feel like she was deeming people either in or out of her special club. And if you were in the club, if you're a Mormon, you have to be married. That is a big Mormon rule, that you don't get to go to the highest of heights, and you don't get to run with the big dogs unless you're married. Weirdly, and let's say this very clearly, unless you're heterosexually married,
right?
And Alex was not. And
also, well, keep going. I have another question for you on that, but keep going.
Yeah. Okay. So Alex was not, and obviously has maybe had some issues in the past. I don't think Alex had ever been married before. And Zulema is supposedly one of these, high ups in this group, preparing of people or whatever they're going to call themselves now. I don't know. And so I feel like Lori was trying to connect him to someone in that organization, just like she was now connected by being married to Chad. And I feel like there was also this stuff with Melanie where they had determined that Brandon Boudreau was not in the club. And so they needed to hurry and get her married to someone who could be in the club. And they got her married really quick to poor Ian Pulowski, who had no idea what he was getting into.
Oh, yeah.
But I do, I think that it has something to do with, qualifying for the 144,000 bonus club.
Yeah. Okay. So a few questions or things to know on that. Yeah, they had, there was a talk that, Melanie had said that Brandon was also one of those zombies, that had been taken over by a demon or something. Yeah. Wasn't good enough for the club at that point.
Yeah.
There's also been some speculation that Alex was actually gay.
Yeah.
And that makes me wonder a little about like the fight in the street. And makes me wonder about, the fact that it does appear that he's never been married before, that this marriage of sorts seemed to be a very business-like deal. It really makes me wonder if Alex was gay, but that was totally not okay in their organization.
That's been my impression.
Totally not okay. Yeah.
That Lori's trying to make him fit in, as she has always done, I think, trying to make him fit. And that this was another step of that. And I agree that the name change also was to protect him. If he no longer went by Cox and he was living in a different state, it may be harder to find him if they ever decide to, actually look into Charles's death. Yeah. Yeah. And maybe Joseph's too,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, they have reopened Joseph's death and they are investigating Alex Cox. But again, being dead and all, it's quite inconvenient, but what do you do? At least it would be nice to have some of this zipped up.
At least to know the truth of it, at least to know what actually happened and at least get the players who are still living some consequences for all this craziness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he didn't do those things of his own volition. He didn't.
No.
He did those things because Lori wanted him to do those things, like he's done so many other things.
So I have seen this happen before with not in this case, but in other instances where the ringleader of sorts basically controls people through their whims by telling them that God said so. Yeah. I had a dream. I had a vision. Going on here. And I think that I can just imagine the conversation with her going to Zulema and to Alex going, well, God said you two are getting married. Yeah.
It reminds me
there was really no relationship between them before that.
No, no. I just watched Waco on Netflix, and if you haven't watched Waco on Netflix, do. But it's exactly the same stuff that would happen with David Koresh. You know, God said, so now you have to do this or that, and he would marry and then unmarry and marry off someone to someone else, kinds of things all the time because God said.
God said,
yeah. Just knocked my microphone down. So yeah, it's the same kind of thing. I think, and Alex was just willing to do whatever she said.
Yep. So then the biggie, Alex. How did Alex die? Did Alex kill himself? Did Zulema kill Alex? There's some speculation that Lori killed Alex, and yet there's really no proof that she was in Arizona at the time at all.
Oh, I
did
do.
The stepson kill Alex? How did Alex die?
Do feel that Alex was poisoned. I feel they're going to find that he was poisoned in some way. I do feel that this is going to come back once we know the truth about the children to be related to what has happened to the children. At some point, your hitman can become a liability. Yeah. And I'm afraid that that's what occurred here, that there was some, kind of hit a wall of maybe I'm not going to do this anymore. Maybe I don't want to be a part of this anymore. Maybe there was some extreme guilt. I don't know. None of that's been expressed publicly. That's just my sense, is that something with him shifted, and she realized, Lori, that he was becoming a liability in her situation. Did she kill him directly? I'm not sure. Did she know? I do feel she did. This is just no evidence. This is allegedly. This is my psychic sense of it, that she certainly knew, that she certainly was involved in some way, and that this has to do with something that went down with him after what we will eventually find out happened with the children.
Yep. Yep. I agree. And I wonder if she had believed that getting him married, marrying him to Zulema so that she could keep an eye on him, would be useful. I'm going to take it one step further and say that I think that there's a player here that we don't know. I think there is a person that's in Arizona that's attached to this group that we have not seen surface in the news yet. I think they will at some point. I think they were the person that were driving the Jeep. And I think they are the person that delivered the dose to Alex, however they did it. I do believe there is a player here that we don't know about. There's probably a lot of players here we don't know about, but I think there's a key player that we don't know about that has played some pretty significant roles here.
That has managed to stay out of the limelight.
Yep.
Yeah,
that
I agree with you on that.
Will come out, but the connection to Alex's death, I think, is that the reason we don't know who did it is because we don't know them. That someone did it.
They're not on this gigantic timeline yet.
No, not yet, but they will be. They will be. I don't think it was Zulema. I will say that. I don't think it was.
I don't either, although I do very much agree with your statement that the part of marrying him to her was to keep an eye on him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. So that is Alex. Anything else you want to add to that before we move on to current events?
Not really. Just that, posthumously, he's going to get saddled with a lot. And one concern that I have is that he's kind of he's a convenient scapegoat at this point, that he's going to get saddled with a lot of things eventually because he's dead. And what I really hope is that the reality that he didn't do any of these things without direction, I believe, will come out, and that's really important that it does, so that the folks that are still living get their consequences for what they have done, and it not just all land in his lap.
Yep. Agreed. Absolutely. Okay. So, and if you guys have anything you want to add or share or pick apart with this, just throw it at us in the chat room. You know what? There's whatever you want to tell us is absolutely fine. We definitely keep an eye on the comments. I'm calling it the chat room. That's my radio brain. Right. In the comments section, tell us what you think. We want to hear it. I mean, there's just a lot of information overload here, and I think that every thought, feeling is valid, and sometimes you guys have some info that we don't, that I'm always interested to see. So don't hesitate to share with us. Some current events, this case is changing literally sometimes on the daily. So a couple of things to note. This week, Lori's bail hearing was moved again. So she's supposed to be going to court for the pretrial is supposed to be happening on May 5th and 6th. Will that be moved? I think it's very likely. So what's happened basically is that the Supreme Court has had orders out across the nation to keep the amount of things in the courts at the bare minimum right now because of COVID. And so now twice a bail hearing has been pushed back. The people who support her have been really enraged by that and are continuing to claim that her constitutional rights are being violated. The fact is, she's already had 2 bail hearings. Right. And, the prosecutor has called this an abuse of the courts, that you don't get to constantly reevaluate bail when the judge has spoken, and the judge has spoken. But since there is a new judge on the case from the last time she applied for, asked for a reduced bail, they're asking again. So, it's kind of one of those things that, is she really entitled to another bail hearing? Well, the courts are saying it's not that important to us right now. We're trying to keep everyone here safe from getting COVID, so we're cutting back. So that was of interest. So now the bail hearing is set for next week, the first week in May, which would only be a few days before the pretrial hearing. But I still suspect we'll see the pretrial hearing be moved. But
I do too.
So those are some of the things happening. The other is that her attorney, Mark Means, filed with the state attorney general's office, and he filed with the Madison County prosecutor's office, asking for a boatload of very specific documents and things related to Charles, related to Joseph, related to Alex, related to Chad.
In the state's case against, about Tammy Daybell.
Yeah, the state's case against Tammy Daybell.
Which no one has even been charged on that case yet.
So we've been watching this one with interest because that has been our question. Are they truly required to turn over these things? Turns out, no, they're not. Both offices responded this week to Mark Means objecting to his request, claiming that they are, basically completely irrelevant. No one has been charged, and or they're irrelevant to the case at hand. And so this enormous amount of paperwork that he has requested, he's getting very little of it because he's asking for things that they are not in any way obligated to turn over, and perhaps not even things they have. Remember that Mark Means is not. Stuff. Yeah, well, remember that Mark Means is not a criminal law attorney. And, lots of lawyers are kind of watching this with a little snicker going, bro doesn't know what he's doing. And he's proving it over and over again. That worries me only that I would never want it to be deemed that Lori didn't have appropriate counsel, except for that she's the one that hired them. So I think it would be okay. The other thing that came out, though, was a witness list, a potential witness list of witnesses that could be called in Lori's current charges. Now, Lori's current charges are 2 counts of, help me.
Child abandonment.
Thank you.
Felony child abandonment.
Felony child abandonment. And then there's 3 misdemeanor charges relating to, failure to appear, with the kids back in January, and lying to the police,
asking her friend to lie to the police.
Asking her friend, Melanie Gibbs to lie to the police. Gibb. Yeah. So those are the charges. So anyway, basically, they did send out a list this week of 47 people that the prosecutor may call in this case. Chad Daybell is one of them. So there's been a lot of scuttlebutt about, he wouldn't have to, would he have to actually testify where this is his wife? Well, here's the answer.
No.
In Idaho, yes. Yep. We don't have a spousal privilege in Idaho. And there are special laws pertaining to children that also negate any idea of spousal privilege.
Right.
And what happened to the kids happened before they were married. And so there's all of these reasons why. The only thing that Chad could claim, and this is Idaho, don't forget, is some kind of religious privilege. And so, and he might.
Right. He
Here
probably
we go.
will. Well, we've
Here we
also
go.
talked about that he may, in fact, plead the Fifth, invoke the Fifth Amendment, as, you know, because it will be self-incrimination. And so there's some questions about all of that. What I thought was very funny is that the news published this list with the headline, "Are you on the list?" Because it was so many people. It was like, you better check. Maybe you're on this list.
Yeah. Well, it's all of the teachers and people that had access to JJ after she came to Idaho, neighbors, clergy, you know, friends, a lot of various people. Yeah, it's very interesting. A lot of people, including some members of Chad's family.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Chad's parents had reported that Lori told them that she was an empty nester.
Yeah.
Another person here in Rexburg that she had told that Tylee died a year ago when she had moved to Rexburg. Her daughter had died a year beforehand. And lots of other people, you know, that their lies piled up and they're coming out in so many interesting ways. But anyhow, so the witness list was pretty fascinating.
Yeah. 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 It really was. But I think it's also, it's indicative of the fact that our legal system here has taken this seriously. I'm happy to see it. I feel like this is the first time her shenanigans have been taken seriously.
Absolutely. Yep.
And
taking it very seriously, and
other jurisdictions now are taking, you know, note and following,
following
as well. But I think somebody is finally going, wait, what is going on with this person? You know?
Yeah. One of the witnesses was the United States Social Security Office.
Yes. Because she's been collecting the kids' Social Security even after they were missing.
Yeah. And you know, as
that is a federal crime. That is a really big deal. My son receives Social Security. I know about this. You don't receive Social Security of people, you know.
Right.
That money, wherever those children are, if they are with someone, that money should be going to them because that money is for their care.
Yes. And what's been reported is that there is absolutely no evidence that that money has been going anywhere except for into Lori's bank account, that she's not transferred it to someone else. No one else is accessing it from a different place with a card or anything. It's not been happening.
Well, and if in fact they find that the children are deceased, I mean, collecting, that's a federal crime to collect Social Security from someone after they passed away. It's a big deal.
Yeah. And see,
one more big old felony to land on her. Well, 2 felonies because it's 2 kids.
It's 2 kids and 2 different cases. Tylee would have been receiving Social Security because her father is deceased. Now, JJ could have been receiving Social Security because potentially he could be on disability because he is autistic, or he was receiving Social Security because of Charles's death. Yes. So one way or the other, there's 2 cases there. Yeah. So that's what's new in this case. There's always something. So we'll leave it here and we'll see what happens. Obviously, if they do make it to court there on the 5th and 6th, we will definitely be reporting on that. And if they don't, there's still so much more to come. So,
I'm sure we'll have updates.
Yeah, definitely. If there's anything about this case that we haven't spoken on or elaborated on, or that you're just more curious about, drop us a comment and let us know. Sometimes I think we might gloss over things that we understand because of the culture that we have, been raised in, that maybe some of you guys don't. So if there's something you want to know about, let us know and we'll see what we can do. But
or go to our fan page on Facebook is True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. We also have a discussion group that's linked to that group, to that page where you can go and ask questions as well. If you're listening on a podcast and not on YouTube, that's a great way to get a comment to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, you have been listening to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. We will see you next time. Thanks for listening, guys. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share. Take care.